Hey guys, Underground Geek here. And if there's a little bit of echo, I'm sorry, you'll have to get over it. This is not a democracy, this is an underground geekocracy, okay? As I'm sipping on my coffee here this morning, I've got a new series I'm going to be doing. Basically, I'm going to go through each issue of the collection of Godzilla and Hell. And you might say, well, what the heck is that? Well, it's a series of comic books that was written in 2015, and they're actually one of my favorite series of comic books, not only because I'm a huge Godzilla fan, but because they're able to tell a story with really good art and very little talking. Like, there's so much symbolism in this comic book that I don't think there's actually any dialogue because Godzilla doesn't speak. But you fully understand what's going on, and you fully immerse yourself in every page. And what's really cool about this is I'm going to do each episode or each issue with each video that I'm doing. There's 5 issues, okay? And each issue is done by a different artist that uses a different version of Godzilla. So it's really cool. You get the different depths of Dante's Inferno, but you get them with a different artist each time and a different version of Godzilla. So, long story short, like I just said, Godzilla in Hell is based on Dante's Inferno, and he goes through all the different levels of hell. And it doesn't really tell why it happened, but it's really cool when I don't care why it happened because it's just that fun of a story. And that's a big deal. Like, imagine if they could write a Spider-Man issue that was different each time, and you really didn't give a crap because they were so good every time. Imagine that. You know, like he fights a different hero, a different villain each time. It doesn't really make that much sense together, but it's so good you don't care. Kind of like the way they used to write them. But anyway. So, Godzilla in Hell #1. I bought the whole collection, but Godzilla in Hell #1 I couldn't really find for the right price, so I'll wait later and buy it later. I'm just not going to pay that much for one issue. I know that usually that's the way it goes. The first issue is the most, but I'm just going to wait to see if I can catch a good deal. Isn't that what you do? But I got the other ones on Midtown Comics, so get on there and buy them. They have different variants and things like that. Some covers are a lot better than other ones. But anyway, so Godzilla in Hell starts out with Godzilla basically falling down through this hole into the bowels of hell. And it's got a lot of cool symbolism. You can tell that this artist, he draws a lot from the 80s and 90s as far as comics go, because it's almost a lot of Mad comic book art, but done better. The coloring wise reminds me of the Mad comic though. Sipping on my coffee. So Godzilla falls into the bowels of hell, and immediately he is up and he's looking around. He's trying to figure out where he's at and what's happening. So then he walks up to this huge monolith that says, "Abandon all hope, ye who enter here." And it's funny because you don't really think about it, but can Godzilla read? I mean, maybe this is in a language that he understands and it's just translated where we can read it. You know, that could be the way that it is, but I just found that funny. I was like, wait, Godzilla can read? But anyway, he sees that huge sign and he is not having it. So immediately he lashes out with his atomic breath and destroys it. And then he's just staring there as he walks off like, yeah, I showed you. So then he walks up to the first bit of hell, and I guess maybe this is gluttony, because he walks up to basically like an atomic reactor, like a nuclear power plant, and there's smog coming out the smokestacks and things like that. And, you know, Godzilla draws his power from radiation, so maybe he sees that as a smorgasbord, and he immediately walks up and he sticks his head in the silo like, yeah, I'm going to get me some good radiation today. And then as he sticks his head in there, he's immediately attacked by a huge, gigantic, grotesque monster. And I don't know if that's supposed to be Hedorah or what, but it is gross, and it literally looks like a bunch of guts attacking you out of that thing. So he's not having it. He's smashing it to pieces, but at the same time it startled him, so now he's mad. But he smashes it and kills it. So then as he's walking on, he comes on to the next scene, which looks like a huge mound, but as he gets closer, this is a mound of people. And it's basically running around like almost like a cloud, and it pushes on him and grabs a hold. And as he fights it off, he looks up, and in the center of the mound is what looks like another Godzilla. And this gets his attention, and he gets very curious at that point. And so he walks up, sees the Godzilla, and the other Godzilla is a different color, and he's scarred up as well. So he looks at him, and he kind of sniffs him out and tries to figure out what he is. And immediately, when he gets close enough, the Godzilla turns into a huge, grotesque monster and scares and startles Godzilla, and then immediately tries to grab him and throws him. And as he's throwing him, Godzilla lashes out with his atomic breath again and cuts the tentacles that are holding him. But the creature grabs him with huge arms and attacks him. And then at this point, Godzilla's had enough of this monster, so he gets in close with it. The monster tries to eat him, and he uses his atomic blast to basically annihilate the creature. And there's nothing left, just bits and pieces. But Godzilla doesn't have long to celebrate because he immediately falls to the floor to the next level of hell, presumably. And that's where issue 1 ends. So you actually kind of blow through these issues kind of fast unless you're like me and you really like the art because there's just no talking. So you're immediately able to go to the next scene, next scene, next scene, next scene. And but at the same time, it's so good because you know what Godzilla's thinking. And you know what's happening to him just through imagery. And that's very hard to do. But I feel like that they talked very well, communicated about what they wanted in this comic book, and executed it perfectly. Just imagine if they did other comics nowadays like that, where you had hardly any talking but more action. Kind of like if they did a Berserk comic book, and he just didn't talk very much, but at the same time you knew what was happening. Or another character like that, someone that doesn't talk very much, maybe Spawn or somebody like that. I wouldn't say Venom because Venom's always talking to him in the back of his mind, so that wouldn't really work. But yeah, I give issue number 1 like an 8 out of 10. I mean, it's amazing what you can do with no dialogue, and the artwork's great. Now, the next issue is going to be issue 2, and I believe that one's my favorite because it has Godzilla Millennium in it, and the artwork is done almost like a painting, and which is amazing. But this issue right here is really good, and this is going to be my first video for this series. I'm going to do 1 through 5. I'm going to do a little bit of a slideshow on here for you to be able to see what's happening. But yeah, just let me know what you think about this series, and if you've heard about it before, and maybe you have a couple of issues, or if you're even a Godzilla fan. Maybe you're not a Godzilla fan, but you're willing to give this comic book a try. But let me know what you think. Hit the thumbs up, hit the notifications button, hit the little bell so you can get all my videos that I do because they're amazing. I'm just kidding. But also on a side note, I'm about to start working on a video intro. So if you have any ideas, let me know. I'm going to throw, I think, a little bit of anime in there with comic book fighting just because that's my background and I do what I want. All right, guys. See you later. Underground Geek out.